After spending 10 hours with Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's quite clear that the game has both high points and some drawbacks. I want to break it down some of the tidbits of pros and cons within this game after playing it for about 10 hours, so this is going to be my first impressions. Now obviously my thoughts may change, some things may get meshed around, some things may be going towards the positive light, the others, well, not so much. And a review will be up sometime soon as I'm done with the game and completed all of the story. Now, one of the game's biggest strengths, I think it is its stealth system. Right from the start you notice that sneaking around is not only important but also quite a lot of fun. The game uses a special visibility meter that tells you just how hidden you are. The meter changes based on your position, distance from the enemies, and how much light is around you. So obviously at night, you're a lot better in advantage. Now, in terms of the darker the area, the better your chances of staying unseen. Now, it feels like you're truly blending into the shadows, which makes a very kind of like successful hide and seek kind of situation, and actually feels rewarding because of it. And in addition, I think there's actually a positive to this point I'm about to mention, but also unfortunately there's a negative. The game gives you plenty of opportunities to perform parkour moves. So imagine running along the rooftops, doing some somersaults and twirling around the corners to avoid detection. These movements add a fresh, exciting twist to the traditional kind of a stealth formula. You're not just sneaking around, you're almost dancing throughout the beautifully crafted world. And regarding the negative part about this, unfortunately, I have noticed that when you're trying to speedrun, right, across the rooftops for some odd reason, and it constantly keep happening, and I was worried about this as well since I first time saw the raw gameplay of Assassin's Creed Shadows, that you kind of stick on the rooftop. You're not exactly freeform on the rooftop where you want to be. And it kind of slows down the whole pace of the game, the whole speed of the game, especially when you're playing as Naoe and you're running across the rooftops. This actually kind of has a similar issue with Yaosuke as well, but unfortunately I can't comment on that yet since I have not yet tried properly of Yaosuke's combat, his traversal, his movement, because obviously if you guys have been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, you'd know that the first about 5 to 10 hours or so the game basically is all about now, and you don't really get too much into Yaosuke's story, at least not at the moment. Like I said guys, I only had about 10 hours of playtime within this game, and I have not constantly been only playing the main story. I wanted to see what this game offered as well outside of that. Now the setting of an Assassin's Creed Shadows is another highlight that really makes an impression. The game takes you to a feudal Japan during the Sengoku period, a time known for its conflicts and cultural richness. The environments are stunning. Picture misty bamboo groves, ancient shrines, and landscapes that change with the seasons, from bright sunny days to gloomy rainy nights, and even snowy vistas. Every detail, or whether it's quietly kind of like a quiet temple or a busy market square, genuinely feels meticulously designed. And I have to mention this, the weather system, the design, the seasonal changes, it's a fantastic step up, and I don't believe that it is a gimmick. I think it actually works within this game, and I hope that from now on every single Assassin's Creed game will implement this feature. Now what really is also quite interesting is how the world feels alive. So NPCs go about their daily routines, some are praying at shrines, others are participating in a local theater, and few are even engaged in random activities that add life to the background. It creates an immersive atmosphere where exploration feels both rewarding and full of surprises. Even if you're more focused on completing missions, it's quite actually hard not to stop and take in the beauty and subtle the details around you. Now, while the gameplay and setting offer quite a lot of things to enjoy about, the story during the first 10 hours might leave you, it could be a little bit of a mixed feelings. Now again, there's some good parts and of course the negatives. So the game centers around the character as mentioned Naoe, whose main story revolves around a revenge plot. For some, this narrative comes off as predictable and maybe even lacking in humor that this game has to offer. Naoe's journey is filled with heavy melodramatic moments that at times seem overdone. Now the emotional outbursts like dying groans and dramatic last words can feel excessive rather than moving, and actually I noticed this quite a lot. Now, what adds to the challenge is that you're locked into playing as Naoe during these early hours. Many players are excited to try out another character, Yasuke, the African samurai known for his more engaging and easier combat style. Yasuke gameplay promises a different experience that might feel more dynamic and fun, but you obviously, like mentioned, you'll have to wait a little longer to get to him. Now, this limitation can be a little bit frustrating for some if you're of course eager to try out his type of gameplay as well. Now, a little extra relating to the earlier parts of the story, I really liked the prologue within the story. It genuinely is sad and is quite moving. But overall, I noticed the way that the interactions actually happen between Naoe and especially with the NPCs and just in general the cutscenes. Like, they seem a little bit fast-paced, and also there are moments that are very awkward. For example, there's some pauses within the conversations, there's a pause, and then conversations continue. It's not very well done, at least not personally for me. And one more thing, Naoe. This has to be mentioned, because I actually don't like the way she sounds. I don't know what's going on with the voice actress. I don't feel like she did her best in voice delivery, and it's also possible because the writing is subpar. But yet, I think actually might be something going on with the voice actress, and she just seems like she's reading off the script and not exactly voice acting, if that makes sense. She's not trying to be that emotional character, at least in that certain moments. Like mentioned, the epilogue was fantastic. She completely delivered all the best parts about it. But continuing on, where did this go? Where's the emotion? Where's the feel? It's not here. And I don't know if this is just the writing like mentioned, or it's just her. And I was not convinced of her. I don't know. I'm not exactly very optimistic about her performance within this game. Now, let's touch on regarding of the combat. So, the combat in the game, especially when you're playing as Naoe, it obviously has its own challenges. Naoe's combat style is more kind of like a little restrictive than what you might find in other entries of Assassin's Creed games. Now, with the fewer weapon options and lack of certain abilities like blocking enemy attacks properly, which can make a fight feel pretty unbalanced. Now, her health is noticeably lower and her attacks don't stagger enemies as quickly as you might hope. All these factors contribute to the combat experience like feeling a little bit maybe undercooked, at least that's what it feels like. But mind you, I think it's actually a good thing because I believe that Naoe should not be able to just plunge in there and kill everything that she sees. She should be having some sort of a weakness towards someone, especially if there's a behemoth right in front of her. She's not supposed to be capable of 1v1ing this specific person or the specific NPC. Matter of fact, I think this is a good thing relating that Naoe has her own limitations in terms of the combat. Now, obviously Yasuke will be a different story, but I have not yet fully tried him out yet. And nevertheless, I will obviously mention everything like this in my full review. Now, players have noted that these challenges make it hard to establish a smooth fighting rhythm earlier on, and some even consider lowering game's difficulty setting as a way to make battles more manageable. While the stealth mechanics and parkour moves add a lot of the excitement, combat system limitations can sometimes interrupt the overall flow of the game. Now, honestly, this is the point that I mentioned here. It's what people think, at least majority. And for me, I don't agree with this point. I think that I like her kind of differences that she has, the limitations, the disadvantages, but yet she has clear advantages in terms of the stealth and traversal. She's a very acrobatic kind of style player, and I personally like that. Nevertheless, continuing on, there's actually quite a most of the enjoyable aspects of an Assassin's Creed Shadows is how actually the world feels alive. Even though the gameplay focuses on a lot of kind of like mechanical and missions in earlier hours, the environment itself offers moments of unexpected beauty. Landscapes are crafted with the artistic eye, with every detail from the weather to the way that the NPCs interact, contributing to the sense of wonder and the immersion. Actually, for an example, during the explorations, you might find yourself in a sense of tea ceremony or even a living drinking quest. I actually want to touch on this regarding to the tea ceremony because I was so captivated with this moment that you get to do within the story of the mission. I kind of wanted to reenact for myself and try it out how it would be like. Now, these activities offer brief moments of respite and humor amidst the heavier narrative or the revenge plot as mentioned. Now, even though the story sometimes drags on with long flashbacks and scenes that feel overly drawn out, these small events provide us welcome contrast like mentioned. Now, they help to balance the otherwise somber tone of Naoya's journey. Now, Assassin's Creed Shadows was its release on March 20, 2025 and available pretty much everywhere. The game's world is vast and promises the main story to be taking around about 30 to 40 hours length to complete. This means that the first 10 hours are just the beginning of what it's meant to be a long and immersive adventure. Now, during these earlier hours, the focus is mostly on setting the stage, introducing you to the world, its rules, and its characters. And however, while the world and mechanics are indeed engaging, the narrative might leave you wanting more depth. The characters often seem to exist only to deliver quests rather than contributing meaningfully to the story. Now, the dialogue can be flat, and the flashbacks tend to overstay their welcome, might actually sap some of the excitement from the unfolding drama. Now, in summary, Assassin's Creed Shadows offers a little bit of a mixed bag on its first 10 hours in some extent. Now, on one hand, you get to experience beautifully crafted environments, innovative stealth mechanics, and a living world that feels truly alive. The game's visuals appeal and fluidity of the parkour moves, the way that they look at least, make exploring feudal Japan an adventure in itself. And on the other hand, the story might not be captivating everyone right away. Naoya's revenge narrative, while full of emotional beats as mentioned at the beginning, especially its epilogue, can actually feel overly predictable afterwards and lacks the kind of a humor or depth that might make it more engaging. Now, the earlier focus on one character combined with the challenging combat system that limits your options, at least intended to be so, might actually frustrate some people, especially when they can't play Yasuke, at least not for the time being. Now, overall, if you're someone who appreciates rich environments and intricate stealth mechanics, the first 10 hours of an Assassin's Creed Shadows will likely win you over despite its narrative and some of the combat challenges, especially if you're playing as Naoya at first. And however, if you prefer a story that offers more variety and humor from the start, you might find yourself waiting eagerly for the chance to play as Yasuke to explore different combat style. Now, this earlier impressions of the game shows while there's much to admire in its design and world building, there's also room for improvement in storytelling and others. Now, ultimately every player experience is unique and your perspective might change as the story deepens and the new gameplay elements are introduced. Whether you're here for the thrill of the sneaking through the shadows or the beauty of the living, breathing world, Assassin's Creed Shadows offers an adventure that is both interesting and visually captivating. Nevertheless, like mentioned, this is just my first impressions. So my thoughts may change, some things may get changed around in terms of its positives and negatives. And at that, that's all I wanted to mention for today. Thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys all and have a wonderful day.